All right, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going deep on something pretty fundamental, I'd say. Logic. The stuff that underlies how we think, how we argue, really how we make sense of, well, everything.
Yeah, exactly. We're not talking, dry textbooks or those equations that make your eyes glaze over.
Yeah.
We're talking about that framework, the very framework we use to sift through all the noise and figure out, well, what makes sense and what's just, well, nonsense.
And it's a puzzle, right? It's a puzzle that thinkers have been wrestling with for thousands of years.
Right.
Luckily, we've got some really fascinating sources here, materials that trace how logical thought has evolved over time.
Yes, a great collection really highlighting the historical journey.
And our mission, what we're going to try to do today, is to pull out the most important pieces of that story, see how those ideas from way back when still affect how we think today, how we can think more clearly, more effectively.
Absolutely. The exciting part is seeing how these foundational ideas still resonate and provide us with tools, practical tools for better thinking in our daily lives.
Okay, so let's jump in right to the beginning. And when we talk about the origins of logic, at least in the West, one name kind of looms large, right? Aristotle.
You can't really talk about Western logic without Aristotle. Back in the 4th century BCE, he really set the stage for so much of what came after.
Yeah, and we have his Organon.
Right, the Organon, this collection of his writings on logic. And this is where he introduces syllogistic logic.
Now, syllogistic logic, that sounds intimidating.
It's really not as complicated as it sounds. Think of it as a very structured way of building an argument. You have your starting points, the premises, and they lead to a conclusion. And it's all in that very classic format of subject is doing something.
Okay, I see.
Like that famous example. All humans are mortal. Socrates is human, therefore Socrates is mortal.
Right, right. I've definitely heard that one before. Sounds simple, but it was a pretty big deal back then, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It was about pinpointing valid argument structures,
Yeah.
really clarifying how to move from those premises to a conclusion that actually follows logically.
But it wasn't just about the syllogisms, right? There's also the laws of thought that he laid out.
Right. Even more fundamental, I'd say. And there are three of them. We've got the law of non-contradiction. That's the idea that something can't be both true and not true at the same time, and in the same way, of course. Then there's the law of excluded middle. It says any statement, any proposition is either true or false. No middle ground. And finally, there's the principle of identity, which is pretty straightforward. It says something is what it is.
I mean, those they sound kind of obvious, like duh, of course.
They do, right.
Yeah.
But they're actually the bedrock of classical logic. They're all about aiming for consistent reasoning, avoiding contradictions. And believe me, you can get into some really mind-bending tangles when you start messing with those laws.